Aloha everyone, Chad Owens here. This is the CO2 Rundown, and I have the privilege of sitting with my classmate, teammate, Roosevelt. You know, hence, look, I got the Roosevelt red and gold on today.
I didn't get the memo.
It's okay, Clarissa Chun. I mean, she's U.S. Olympics. She's represented on the highest stage for us out of Hawaii. Two-time Olympian, bronze medalist, and now assistant coach for the U.S. women's wrestling Olympic team. So look, first of all, thank you for joining us here today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Long time no see.
Man, what was Tokyo like?
Tokyo was different from any other Olympics. I'm just happy that the athletes had the opportunity to compete on the biggest world stage they had, I feel sad for the opportunity that Tokyo missed out on, and for the athletes and everyone involved in the Olympic movement because of the whole COVID pandemic situation, But hey, our team brought it. We brought the energy. Anyone that could be in the arena, that were credentialed, if they weren't in the warm-up area, they were in the stands, cheering as if we brought the biggest crowd, from all across the world.
Yeah, and that's as athletes, right?
Yeah.
You've been there, and you experienced it with the crowd.
Yeah.
That energy, when I played, I fed off of that energy. You make a big play, you hear the roar, and you just want to keep going, right? You do a counter move, or you pin, or you do something exciting on the mat. You feel that energy. And as a coach now, did you find that you had to motivate your team and motivate the wrestlers more because they didn't have that?
Honestly, at this level, they all wanted it, right? They didn't. At the end of the day, they would have wanted their families and friends to be able to witness it firsthand in the arena. But at the end of the day, they're ready to compete and wanted to attain that gold medal, right? Just the opportunity to represent Team USA, where they're from, wherever they were from, and just lay it all out there, all their hard work that they've been putting in, and the work that they've been putting in during COVID, right? Whatever their situation was, how they battled through that. Everyone was in the same situation, and how they just wanted to be able to let it all shine.
Yeah, so. I spoke about that on one of my segments about the resilience of professional athletes, the resilience to overcome adversities throughout a career, but then you sprinkle in, this added piece of adversity, and it really just showed the true resilience of these elite level athletes that you got to witness firsthand. So hats off to you guys, hats off to the team, and hats off to all the athletes that didn't just show up, they went out there and performed, right? And you put the when you're in it, you put the blinders on anyway. Crowd, no crowd, it's me. Wrestling is that sport, man. It's me and, all right, right here. It's me and you. Right? I'm gonna do my thing, and you have that extreme focus. So that's exciting. We were chatting a little bit before about the whole women's wrestling and where it was and where it came from. And I'm not sure if you guys know this. I didn't know this. We went to high school together, and in that time, in 1998, when Clarissa won the state title, that was the first year that women's wrestling was sanctioned in Hawaii, and Hawaii was the first state to sanction women's wrestling. What does that mean for you to be part of that foundation?
Well, I take a lot of pride that Hawaii was the first at something, right? Representing, and I attribute it to the fact that, I think this year is the 50th year of Title IX, and Patsy Mink had a huge, say in movement for that, and she represented Hawaii well in that. And I take a lot of pride that Hawaii the community itself gets behind sports and the people and just what it means, right, to be behind kids or people from Hawaii in pursuing any opportunity that they're given, right? So I take a lot of pride that Hawaii was the first to sanction girls wrestling as a sport separate from the boys. And to see the growth to where it is today, there's still 20 other states that hasn't sanctioned girls at a high school as a high school sport for women's wrestling. So, there's still a push in our movement to get it sanctioned because we want to give all these girls and these women opportunities, to compete and wrestle,
Right, on an even playing field.
On an even
because
playing
instead of,
field,
before you have to compete against boys.
Boys, yep.
And like we talked about, at some point, I mean, let's just be honest, the strength, it changes, right? What's interesting, you mentioned something, when you came out, you only had 5 opportunities, 5 schools that were doing scholarships for girls wrestling. And now there's how many?
Yeah, well, so the college I went to, Missouri Valley College, was the only school that offered a women's wrestling scholarship that had a program out of those 5, right? So now there's like 80 something schools, give or take. I don't know. I swear each day they're adding a program at some school somewhere in the US. I'm just saying this is just in the United States. So I'm trying to push University of Hawaii to get a women's program so I can come back home.
Let's go. Hey, you wait. So let's go. We need a women's, wrestling program so we can get the best in the business coming back. Let's go. She wants to be back here in Hawaii.
Yes.
Speaking of that, I know you've been traveling the world.
Yeah.
All over the world.
Yeah.
What's some of your favorite places that you've been?
Oh man, it's so hard. That's a question I get often, and it's like you can't. Like for me, I appreciate people and cultures wherever I go. I like to learn about the people and the cultures wherever I go because, that makes up who we are, right? And
helps us evolve as people.
Yeah,
right?
Obviously I'm biased to Japan because, they're the best in the business for like hospitality, and their food is so good, and I feel safe. Like I can leave $20 on the floor and someone will put it up like lost and no one would take it, and kind of thing, like
wow.
So they just like lead the pack in that. But I don't know, there's a lot of like far off the grid places I've been to that I would never imagine visiting or seeing with my own eyes, like Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Jordan. I got an amazing opportunity to work with Syrian refugees, like what's going on in this world is insane, but introducing wrestling to Syrian refugees out in Jordan, and I could say Mongolia was a unique place, and Vietnam, going to Vietnam was cool. Like I could name a list of places that I'm like, I would love to go back to, yeah.
Throughout this whole process, right, the journey, we talked about the athlete's journey is wild at times, right? We talked about the traveling and you don't get to come home much to Hawaii, but it's kind of what we signed up for, right? We sign up because we want that, and you've had that, and so with that process, like what have you learned about yourself through everything up until this point?
About myself, I learned a lot more patience, because of the travel, like sometimes you feel like you gotta hurry up and wait kind of thing. And just, like kindness. I feel like, and I don't think that I was rude or unkind ever, but just like observing people from different parts of the world, just sometimes we are told like different people we don't get along with, whether it's our government or not, right? So, man, people are so kind, like all around the world, I haven't been to Iran, but I would love to, I know I have Iranian friends, that one has helped volunteer coached, and beautiful person, right? Like, but in our minds, we are at war with Iran or whatnot, and we think they are a certain way or whatnot. But, and I think just like I would say, the misconception of certain places and people, right? Everywhere we go, there's gonna be crime or whatnot, right? Just like dangerous places and whatnot. And it's good to be aware of that, but also, giving the people the opportunity that, we don't have to like prejudge like a certain culture because we are told that's how we're supposed to view them,
Yeah, you got to see things with your own eyes and make your own judgment, right? And that's what's special, getting that perspective. I haven't really gotten to travel all over the world and see all the places like that you have. I mean, I've been to Canada, and you know, Canada's beautiful.
Yeah.
Canada, like we talked about the people, like they're so
people,
kind.
yeah.
They do have a lot of aloha.
Yep.
And, you know, a lot of
Yeah.
Canadians do come to Hawaii, so maybe
Yeah.
they picked up on that.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed Canada,
Yeah.
and you know, I have nothing negative to say about that country. And you know, I also want to go and travel. I want to go to Japan. I want to go to different places to learn about other cultures and
Yeah.
to see different people and to learn, you know, and
Yeah.
to get better,
Yeah.
to grow as a person.
Yeah.
And so that's why I just asked you that question, because I know you're seasoned in all these different cultures. And so to hear you say that you have learned a lot from that is amazing. Transitioning from a player, I'm not coaching now, but transitioning out of competing and then doing what I'm doing now. So for you, you've competed for so long at the highest level, top elite, and then now you're on the coaching side. Like, do you find yourself like putting yourself in the match at times?
Oh
you
my
know?
gosh. So going back to the Olympics, I feel like just in general, as a coach, you feel those emotions, you know? Like you feel what they're going through in the sense of the work they're putting in, and like sometimes the hard work they're putting in doesn't guarantee the outcome, right? And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's fun and exciting and rewarding, but sometimes it's hard, right? So I think transitioning as a coach, sometimes I get asked the question like, is it easier being a coach or an athlete? And I said an athlete 100%, because the only person that I gotta focus on is myself. You know, I just gotta worry about myself, focus on myself, and take care of myself. And as a coach, it feels like, you know, working through the different, like with the different athletes, you know, everyone's so different, right? How they manage their emotions, how they perceive, you know, like situations, like whether before practice, after practice, during practice, before competition, during and after, whatever, right? Like just how they assess certain things, right, in their career.
Almost like parenting. Like you gotta learn these different dynamics.
Yeah, but you know, at this level, they're great, right? They for the most part, they know what they want, they know what they need. But it's also like being able to manage like certain things at certain times, you know?
And I found when I played, I found the coaches that played, it doesn't always work out that just because you played or you competed in the sport, you become a good coach. But the coaches who truly understand the game and then have the ability to remove their personal, like the way they did it, take the experience, but being able to identify the differences in each athlete. I found that those coaches were always like the best coaches for me, because we speak the same language. So for you, being that you've been there, done that, and you've seen the highs and lows, you've probably experienced a lot of these things that your athletes come at you and ask you. So you know, you have that ability to be able to relate.
Right.
And I think that is the key in any coach, in any sport.
Yeah.
You have a big judo background. Right? All your years of judo, how do you think that helped you in wrestling?
Helped me a lot. I feel like, well, actually won me my bronze medal round in 2012 Olympics. I used a judo move, like a throw. So
is that legal?
Completely legal. You know, like there's throws in wrestling, but just with my judo background, I had like awareness and, you know, the hip action to throw and whatnot. And like now coaching, it's something that I can offer the athletes I coach, you know, just like the footwork, the foot sweeps, and the throws a little bit. So I think as a combat sport, it goes hand in hand, like wrestling and judo. It's just you gotta like adapt a little bit to the grappling side of it, because there's no gi to grab onto in wrestling, you know. Just like it's fun.
That physicality.
I love it. I love it.
What's next?
Oh well, next we got World Championships. It's a quick turnaround for our athletes, because at the Olympics there's 6 weight classes contested, but in a World Championships there's 10 weight classes. So So now they're having a world championships. For our women, we go October 4th to the 7th in Oslo, Norway. And then after that, I'm thinking of stepping away from the assistant national coaching life and moving towards the college coaching life, just to kind of slow the life down on the international travel way, and then just kind of get a different lens and coaching hat and dabbling into the coaching at a college level.
What do we gotta do to get the University of Hawaii
I don't know.
women's wrestling team? Clarissa, do you have that blueprint? Can we present
Yeah,
something?
I know. I need to.
Yo, Natlin, it's time. Let's go. You heard she wants to come back and coach.
Let's do it. Hey.
She's
yeah.
ready to step down. She's the first of many things. The first of. So why not just add
There's
the first
so many.
University of Hawaii
There you go.
women's wrestling coach?
Yeah. Hey, we
Makes
have
sense.
so much talent in Hawaii too. We have like so many female athletes coming out of Hawaii that go to the mainland to continue wrestling, and sometimes it's hard, right? Because you get homesick.
Homebodies.
You know, and it's not easy to go away and leave home and try to pursue that, you know, and be torn, you know, between your dream and what you want to achieve and like for your love of being home, right? So it's a tough sacrifice, right?
Yeah.
Like even for you
Yeah.
and your family, it was a sacrifice for you to be away from home and your family and your roots. And you know, Hawaii is the best. It is. It's absolutely like travel the world, see many different places, but nowhere is like home. You know, so absolutely a lot of talent out of Hawaii. Would love to keep them in Hawaii and.
But we tagging University of Hawaii in this right now.
Let's go.
Amazing. Well, look,
Yeah.
Clarissa, thank you so much for taking the time. I
thank
know this is
you.
like your downtime.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's great catching up.
Yeah.
And, you know, thanks for joining us here in the
Yeah.
CO2 Rundown.
Thanks for having me. Ah.
Oh.